So now we've looked a little bit at well-being, what it is, what constitutes well-being, and a few of the things that can affect our well-being. We're now going to move on to look at some of the great tools and techniques that you can use to help, things that will positively impact on our well-being. We're going to look at lots of different ideas here, so hopefully there will be some that appeal and could be useful to you. As I've already mentioned, please approach this with an open mind. Give it a go. It may be somewhat different to anything you've been used to before. All we ask is that you try these things out and hopefully find one or other of the tools that works well for you. So the first technique then that I'd like to talk about is one that's very well known in well-being, and that's the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness can help us if we're suffering from a bit of stress, a bit of anxiety, and it's also very helpful if we're just feeling a bit down, we have low mood. And mindfulness is a great practice which is all about bringing us right into the present moment. So it's about focusing all our awareness on the here and now for us. The reason it's so lovely for stress and anxiety is it takes you out of that pattern of overthinking, of worrying, of having your head whirring with ideas and thoughts. It makes you step away from thoughts about the future, the past, and just concentrate on what's happening right at this moment. The reason it's good if we're just having a bit of a low time, so if our mood is low, we're feeling a bit blue, a bit down, is that mindfulness brings to attention all the positives, all the great things that happen in our lives, but that we can very easily just bypass, not notice on a day-to-day basis. So mindfulness kind of takes us out of that place where our whole life is in, I guess, a kind of autopilot, where our days are mapped out and our weeks are mapped out. Often in schools, it's not just that our days that have very tight regimes and weeks, but each of our terms are quite clearly defined. We know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. Often when I go into schools, people know to the day how many days it is to a half term, because we can easily go into a kind of autopilot where we're just not noticing stuff that happens day to day. It all becomes very routine. So mindfulness brings us back to the moment, brings us into our lives, and allows us or encourages us to actually acknowledge calmly, without any judgment, how we're feeling, what we're thinking, what our body is experiencing. So mindfulness, the practice of being present, living in the moment, great impact on our well-being. Now there are many, many different ways of practicing mindfulness. Anything that works for you is great. Anything that brings you into the moment, anything that makes you notice the here and now, anything that makes you feel, touch, see what's going on right here in our lives. We're going to just go through together 3 quite well-known mindfulness practices. Then we're going to talk about other options. And at the end, I'm going to ask you in your groups to go in and think about things that you could build into your day at school, things that would work for you to introduce a little bit of mindfulness into the day. And the first of these that we're going to look at is the body scan. So the body scan, pretty much as it sounds, gets us very much in touch with the sensations that are going on in our body in the present moment. We're going to do this as a guided exercise, We'll do it as one big group. And all I need you to do for this is to get comfortable in your chair. Make sure your feet are flat on the floor, your back supported, but that you feel quite relaxed. And when you're ready, let's start the body scan. Okay, that's lovely. Thank you for that. Thank you for your feedback. And that's something, of course, that you can do at any time. We've done it there as a kind of quite focused, full-on 5-minute exercise, but it'd be very straightforward for you in a moment where you're feeling stressed or annoyed or not quite sure what's going on, just to take a few seconds to do that scan and notice if you're tense, if you're angry. Notice exactly what's going on with the here and now. So the body scan is a nice way of becoming mindful, specifically coming in contact and noticing our own body. I'm going to move on to now do another mindfulness activity together. And this one is an activity called mindful eating. So this is very much about starting to notice, to give our full appreciation to something that we're experiencing. And eating is obviously so commonplace. It's something we do usually without any thought, and often without any notice of what's going on. And so this is an exercise that brings our full attention to something we're eating. And you could use this in any given situation. We're going to use it with the little tin that's on your table. If you'd like to open it now, and you'll see there's a tin of chocolate. There's a separate little tin for those of you who have told us about allergies or intolerances. And I'd like you to all take a piece of the chocolate and just pop it on the little napkin in front of you. And we're going to run through then a 5-minute exercise together where we focus on mindful eating. Brilliant, thank you. So excellent exercise. Thank you for your feedback. And of course, we're not suggesting for one moment that you live your life eating in that fashion. What we are suggesting is that every now and again, that's a way to slow down, to calm down, and to focus some attention. Maybe it's something you could do with a beautiful box of chocolates that you have to share. Sit down and really spend the time to notice and appreciate and eat it mindfully. I know some schools who have maybe on a certain day of the week, so perhaps on a Friday they might have Cake Friday or Fruit Friday, or they have some kind of situation where as a group someone brings things in and together they calmly and mindfully go about the business of eating and appreciating. You could have someone make something and not tell them each other the ingredients, so that everyone has to guess them together. It's a useful experience for really focusing our attention on the here and now. Okay, last exercise we're going to do together then on mindfulness is a really simple grounding technique. It's fantastic if you're feeling a bit anxious. If you're feeling that you're worried, overthinking, it's the middle of the night and you really need to calm your brain down a little bit. And this is the grounding exercise called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's quick, it's easy. I'm going to run through and just do it as an example. It'll literally take a minute. And then I'm going to ask you to do this in your groups. And in your groups, I'm simply going to ask you to go around in a circle so that you do one of each of these things. But 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 goes as follows. It grounds you absolutely in the here and now. It asks you to name 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 you can smell, 1 you can taste. And so it takes you away from whatever else you're thinking and makes you focus right now. So I'm sitting here and I would say things I can see. So I can see trees out of the window. I can see, and I don't want to go for the obvious here, we're trying to be a little bit more intent. So trees out of the window, I can see a rubbish bin that's got a disposable cup in. I can see my label printer is flashing. I can see a cat out of the window, and I can see pair of orange handled scissors. Things I can touch. I can touch the spiky cactus that's on my desk here. I can touch the sleeve of my jumper, which is fluffy. I can touch the smooth of my telephone. I can touch, I've got some string, a ball of string, which has got a texture. Things I can hear, children outside, the whirring of my computer and my printers in the background. Things I can smell coffee. I can't think what else I can smell, so I'm going to smell the perfume that's on my hand. Last of all, the thing I can taste some coffee. It's as simple as that. We do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It grounds us. It completely makes you think of the here and now, and so anything else that's whirling around in your head goes, because we're focusing here and now. So, last little group exercise is I'd like you to, in a group, go round. Now, instead of doing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm going to get you to all do a see, all do a touch, all do a hear. Clearly, when we get to the smell and the taste, we're going to probably be a bit duplicating. But if you can, come up with something different each time. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes, please, to run that little exercise together. Fabulous. Okay, so now that we've looked at 3 standard mindfulness techniques, let's just suggest a few other ideas. Mindful aromas is up there at the top. It's the same concept really as the old-fashioned smelling salts. When someone was feeling a bit anxious or overwhelmed, give them a sniff of smelling salts and it brings them back into the moment. Well, it's the same concept. On your desk in front of you, you'll see there are some little sachets. There's some Epsom salts that have got different essential oils in them. Have a sniff. They're yours to take away, so please grab one that appeals to you. There are things like, there's a lavender one. Lavender's meant to calm. There's one that's got wild orange oil in it, and citrus smells are meant to motivate and enliven you. So have a little smell across them, see if there's any that you like the smell of. And you can do, of course, the same sort of thing. You could wear a perfume so that when you feel you need a bit of a boost, you just sniff your arm or you apply your scent to you. Aromas can be handy. Mindful walking up at the top right there is a great way to become mindful. If all you have to do is walk to another part of the building, rather than doing it and not noticing anything about it, give yourself a mindful minute to walk. Notice new things, notice plants, notice things about the soil, the children, the sky, anything at all. It brings you into the minute. Having mindful coffee breaks are quite nice because you can literally just focus on the smell of the coffee, the warmth of the cup, and you can give yourself a moment to just bring yourself back. Or stare out of the window for a minute and try to spot things you've never seen before. So anchor yourself in the present and see what's different. Are the clouds, the weather, anything that's different at the moment? Drive a different way home or do something at school. Pick a moment or a minute where it's convenient for all of you to do something together. So with those in mind, I'd like you now to spend a 5-minute group discussion to think about what you could do. Because not all of those things will appeal to all of you. What could you and your team, or the people that you work with, do to build mindfulness into your school day? Something that's achievable and that you would be happy to do on a regular basis. So I'll leave you to do that, and then I'd like to feedback at the end, and I'd like everyone, each group, to come up with some sort of idea you think would work for you.